Dear Presidents, dear Excellencies, dear friends, the topic of our conference is happiness. This is not about individual happiness. We use happiness as analytical framework to look at politics, economy, society, and to look at main challenges, threats which world faces now. Maybe somebody in this room thinks that it's too naive, too romantic to talk about happiness. Maybe you think it's an odd choice for serious conference. I want to explain our choice. Why happiness, why now, and why here? First, why happiness? The pursuit of happiness is declared to be one of the fundamental rights of human being in the Declaration of Independence of the United States, right at the beginning. The European Union chose Ode to Joy as its anthem. This music is a poem about the importance of happiness. You just heard this masterpiece of Beethoven, and Ode to Joy is 200 years old, but super contemporary. And happiness is also very old and forever super contemporary as eternal goal for humans. The most exciting political projects were built on the promise of the possibility of happiness. Why now? Not only because Friday 13 is the best time to talk about happiness, but also because happiness can give new life to our countries, our societies, as a story. Humans need stories, narratives which organize their lives. Religion, legends, ideologies, mainstream politicians often like to talk about globalization, liberal politics, liberal economy. These are a great story. Thanks to them, mankind achieved huge progress during the last few decades. But unfortunately, these stories started feeling old. These stories no longer correspond to our life, to our realities, as strongly as it was before. The gap appeared sometimes between 2008 2016, and mainstream politicians didn't understand this immediately. They understood this too late, and the gap fills quickly. New politicians, all very different, but all against old system. Trump, Bolsonaro, Macron, Johnson. Protest votes, protest movements, Brexit, the Yellow Vest, and also we face huge challenges. Technological transformations, global competition between China and the West, ecological crisis, inequality. But where is the main driver which guides us forward? I am sure that new big story will come, or existing order will be modernized and upgraded, but we don't know yet what will it be and when will it happen. That's why I want us to talk about happiness, or even more precise, about governance for happiness. It reminds us what our goal should be, where our politics should be oriented. It's a strong story for politicians to tell to people. It's strong guiding value for governance. It's strong weapon against populism. And it can help to address the main challenges we face today. Politicians started paying attention to happiness just recently. Not only Bhutan made happiness its national goal, but also Western countries. like Canada, Iceland, New Zealand, Scotland, make special focus on happiness. There is well-being economy, governments alliance, there is Beyond GDP initiative. The OECD makes happiness measurement part of their statistic, and this is very important because what governments measure shapes their policy and public activity. We commissioned global survey on happiness and governance, first of this kind. We surveyed more than half the planet's population. One result is people want their governments to give them the chance to be happy. This is almost sensational finding. It means if we look for new guiding notions, stories, paradigm, narratives to organize our countries, we must pay attention to happiness. Now, why here? I believe that here in Ukraine, an extremely powerful story is being written. A Slavic nation with Orthodox tradition and communist past becomes modern, free, and happy society. It's so inspirational and so infectious.
Поки я ще офіційно не президент, я можу сказати,
While I am not officially still a president, I can tell you as a president, every country of the post-Soviet Union,
подивіться на нас.
look at us.
Усе можливо.
Everything is possible.
Exactly, Mr. President. Exactly. And our opponents feels this Ukrainian story is an existential threat. That's why we are under attack. We know we will win, but we will win not with weapons. This story in our heads and hearts will be our superpower. Ukraine will become an intellectual center, creative hub, and a civilizational driver, and a happy space which all the region will want to follow, and to which Crimea is drawn like by an irresistible magnet. I believe I think Ukrainians believe that. That was why they voted for change. It's not unhappy, angry people voting for populism. It's unsatisfied people who know more is possible, electing hope for future happiness. In our global survey, we asked people all around the world, what is most important for you in your life? In many countries, it was happiness. In some, health, financial security, but citizens of one country want none of these most. For them, the single most important thing in their life is that their children are happy. And this country is Ukraine. Even more, for Ukrainians, the happiness of their children more important than for any other countries from our survey. And I want to remind you that we covered more than 50% of the planet's population. For me, this is great result. I'm proud about this. In this moment, I want to stop for 1 minute to talk about our survey and want to ask you to look on these portraits. This is part of the project of Ukrainian newspaper Weekly Mirror, Mothers. These Ukrainian women are mothers of Ukrainian soldiers who were killed in this war in eastern Ukraine. You can see you can feel limitless suffering in their eyes. Suffering and happiness, these are two opposite sides of one coin. And this coin is our internal world. And I believe that for all Ukrainians, but first of all for our new, young, brave Ukrainian political team, this suffering in the eyes of Ukrainian mothers, for whom we know now the happiness of their children is the most important thing in their life, and who lost their children, this suffering will be one of the main drivers for changes. And your success, our success, will not stop their suffering, but maybe will make their life a little bit easier. Now I will continue and almost finish. When our team presented to me this result, I said, guys, but for me it means that Ukraine is the most optimistic country in the world. They looked on me skeptical and they said, Victor, we don't have such a data. But please look what was presented to me during our next meeting in August. In this horizontal line, this amount of people who are optimistic about their future for next 5 years. And vertical line, all countries from our survey in alphabetic order. Ukraine is here. Please watch carefully. You know, no, China, Ukraine, China, Ukraine. Look, great. Our team told me, Victor, you were right. Ukrainians very pessimistic about today, but they're extremely optimistic about their future for next 5 years as of today. They are optimist number one in the world. Mr. President, I can officially inform you that as far our scientific research shows, and it covers 52% of the world population, you are the leader of the most optimistic country in the world as of today. Ukrainians are ready and waiting for your governance for their happiness. Being familiar with Ukrainian context and result of this research, I think I can take a risk and suggest the next formula. To be a servant of the people means to govern for the happiness of these people. And last, I often remember what the great friend of Ukraine and my teacher, President Shimon Peres, said 10 years ago in Crimea and Yalta to the guest of our conference. He said, the biggest contribution to history was made by unsatisfied Jews. He didn't know yet what unsatisfied Ukrainians are capable of. Unsatisfied Ukrainians fighting for the happiness of their children in a fantastic, free, fair, and happy Ukraine with Crimea and Donbass. So, I believe that with happiness, we have vitally important topic. Therefore, we invited the world's best thinkers on happiness, on the global trends, and I'm proud that today an outstanding political leaders together with us, big friend of Ukraine, President of Estonia, Kersti Kaljulaid, and leader of the happiest country in the world, number one happiest country in the world according World Happiness Report 2019, President of Finland, Sauli Niinisto. And now, according to our tradition, I have to invite on this stage our head of state. But President Zelensky personally asked me, for this very special moment, to change our tradition. He asked me, instead of him, for first speech, to invite on this stage another citizen of Ukraine. And I am happy to follow his advice. I'm proud, and we all proud, to invite on this stage Ukrainian citizen, Ukrainian hero. Please welcome on this stage Oleg Sentsov.